Wait, it's not working. This is so anticlimactic. Why isn't the lock opening? No! That sums up my review for the show. Hi and welcome back to the Ruby Tuesday. My name is Ruben and this is my review for the final season of Locke and Key. It's the third season. There is 8 episodes. I went into this season with trepidation. I wasn't a huge fan of the second season. Enjoyed the first. I was like, are they going to redeem themselves? Are they going to be able to wrap it up so that it has a fruition that you're satisfied with? Let's discuss. In the thrilling final chapter of the series, the Locke family uncovers more magic as they face a demonic new foe who's dead set on possessing the keys. So in the beginning of the season, it feels like the family is a little bit disjointed. We have Tyler who is away and he's kind of doing his own thing, kind of processing. We have the brother who there's kind of a marriage in the works and that's kind of a focus on it. And it really takes about 3 episodes for the story to kind of pull itself together. And I would say those first 3 episodes were really tough for me to get through. Each episode had me sighing. I felt like I was watching, my eyes were watching through treacle. It was a real tough, it was tough. It was real tough. It was a real tough. It was tough to get through the first 3 episodes. At the beginning, or the end of episode 3, the beginning of episode 4, there's an arc that kicks in that actually bears some interest. They start doing some new things with keys. There's some new magics, well, new keys really. There's some new laws that they have implemented, and that's when my interest kind of got me sitting up a little bit and like, okay, now maybe that's because the beginning or the first 3 episodes were so tough to get through. But I found myself getting more and more interested as the episodes went along. So by the time I hit the end of episode 8, I felt like there was a satisfying redemption arc for certain characters. There was a satisfying story completion to the 3 seasons, to the family, to kind of characters. I didn't know that they were going to have satisfying kind of completion storylines too. I wouldn't even have thought of to kind of bring them into that. So I thought the ending worked out quite well. However, there's still this kind of stilted dialogue and acting that goes in hand with the second season, and it kind of played along into the 3rd season. Now the real kind of grumpy grump in me would say, well, maybe this is just the actors kind of phoning it in because it's the 3rd season and they knew they weren't being picked up. Now I don't believe that is the reason. I think these actors have showcased that they can do a good job. Season 1 was fun to watch and was interesting. I just felt like the writing for the actual story didn't have a lot to go on. So whereas we had Dodge as the kind of main bad guy, the second season kind of stretched that out way too long. And even though it was shorter than the first season, this time it feels like they're trying to make the series more punchy with shorter episodes. Like 30-minute episodes, 36-minute episodes, starts off a little bit longer and just gets drastically shorter as the episodes go. So they're trying to keep that pacing faster, mostly because there isn't much of a story. We have this demon guy who's dressed, you'll notice him from season 2. There's a little bit of him and he's back and bad, and he's bad because he's a demon, and that's all the kind of backstory we get because of him. And so we mostly have just bad guy who wants the keys and he's after the locks, and he's bad guy and evil for the sake of it because he's a demon and I'm bad. And that's the kind of writing that we have here. At one stage, you're thinking, what demographic is this series for? The first season kind of showcases some horror elements that would be for older teens. And then second season, and particularly third season, kind of showcases a level of dialogue and storytelling that feels like it's for young teens. That's not to say teens are stupid. It just feels like it's pitched at a younger generation. And then we get some violence and language that would suggest that it isn't. And it feels like it doesn't really know what demographic it is aiming for. I think it was trying to encompass the whole family unit, and I feel like I'm coming down really hard on it. There was just so many times in this series that I was sighing because I know the possibility of this series. The first season was good and I could have really built on from that, but for me it just felt like it lost its way along the way. I enjoy the idea of the story, the key house, the magics that are able to use, the different keys, the abilities. I do feel like there are so many plot conveniences that whenever they have written themselves into a corner or the characters into the corner, it's kind of like a faux pas in writing. Whenever I'm writing, I'm always asking myself, am I about to write myself out of a corner by inventing a new thing? And I have done that a couple of times. And sometimes that works, but if you do it too often, then your audience loses faith in you. So they'll be like, oh, they're going to get to this place, and then this key's going to be able to have this ability. Or someone's going to do something that suddenly happens for the convenience for the plot and story to move along. A lot of series and movies are guilty of this. I'm not just saying this is a new thing that this series has created. It's just particularly in this series and this particular season that was really blaringly loud for me, going, you have all these moments that every time you get in a place that could develop into something more interesting and take a chance, maybe kill for character here and there that we care about, but don't have a plot convenience to save them, then the emotional bits would have more weight. And that just didn't feel to be the case here. Now, the special effects I thought were good in parts, sometimes not so great. I didn't mind them, but I'm one person that will ignore any bad effects because I know how much money it costs. I know how long it takes. There weren't anything blindingly obvious to me that was terrible, and there was some really interesting mix with prosthetics, the computer generation of facial contortions of a monster, of a demon-esque monster face. All of that was really interesting. I thought it was good when they played that part. But again, going back to the plot conveniences with key moments, see what I did there, key moments. I just thought, yeah, that's too much. So I was glad that the story had a completion, so it wasn't just leaving the characters hanging, because there's so many series on Netflix that can get cancelled that we don't ever get to find out what happens to those characters. We get invested, and they don't get a second or third season. OA just comes to mind like that. We're never gonna find out. Firefly, still sad about that. So all in all, I thought it came together mostly at the end. The acting was okay for what they were given. I just feel like the dialogue was really stunted and the direction wasn't great. Sometimes you'll notice the brother pilot, just the way he acts, feels like he's reacting off a direction. And then even Bodhi, the young kid, sometimes I just didn't buy his emotional outrage or the way he was reacting. Now, every kid is different, every person is different in the world, but just there was no consistency with his character. And of course, kids growing up and teenagers, they're different beings. If you've had kids growing up, I've had two, then they're totally different, and you can't really expect them to act anyway at any given point. However, there needs to be a consistency in your characters, and I just didn't feel like there was that, especially in season 3. So I'm a little bit disappointed, a lot disappointed with season 3, just because of where it could have gone. But I am glad that we got that completion. So I'm going to give this 2 Nicolas Cages out of 5. But that's just my opinion. Maybe you loved it. Let me know in the comments below. How would you rank these seasons? I would rank them as they came out. 1, 2, and 3. Maybe you loved all of them. Maybe you loved season 2. Who was your favorite character? I thought Dodge was interesting while the demon was around. Give me your thoughts down below. Thanks so much for watching. Don't forget we have a Patreon and a cornucopia of other videos like anime, animation, world cinema. Don't forget you can give me your super thanks down below. Just look for the thanks button, and if you want to support us that way, that would mean the world to us to keep making these reviews as creative as I can. Some of them you'll notice are getting more creative as I go along when I have the energy and ideas of what I can do with it. But for now, here are another 2 videos you can watch. Most of all, until next time, remember, live long and Tuesday.